Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of Cougar Culture. I'm so excited to be here. My name is Dorian. I am your host. Of course, you guys know me. I am never alone. I always have my great friend Jish Sokolsky on this with me. Like we said, broadcast extraordinaire, great student, scholar. He does every actor. He does everything. So
I think I made my presence known a little bit already, Dorian. I feel like I accidentally threw you off a rhythm, and that's my bad. Thank you for having me on yet again.
Of course, Jish. Of course, man. I'm having a great week. I hope you are too.
I'm having a very busy week as well. I don't know if that's the same thing, but to each their own.
Of course. In the Super Bowl week, we'll give our Super Bowl picks at the end of the episode. I'm excited to hear yours. Of course, we have a jam-packed episode for you all today. We have a great interview and preview with the baseball head coach, Neil Ioviero. He's going to preview the baseball season, and we also have an amazing interview with Nate Lyles on the men's basketball team, and he talks a little bit about his acting career. So that's a really interesting and exciting interview that we have set forth for you all. But first, we're going to kick it off with After the Whistle. This week in men's basketball was able to split. They went 1-1. They had a win against the TCNJ Lions. They won 98-64, a pretty dominant win, I would say. They scored 42 points in the first half, 56 total in the second half, outscoring TCNJ by 26 in that second half. It was an incredible victory for the Cougars. Danny Bodine for TCNJ, he had himself 12 points and 5 rebounds. But on the Kean side, Jalen Jamison, he had 24 points, 4 rebounds. Latrell West followed with 22. And, the two of them were just 2 of 4 starters that scored in double digits. Pat Strazala came in and provided 18 points of his own, and Nate Lyles came in with 11 points and 3 rebounds. And for his performances last week, Jalen Jamison was able to earn NJAC Player of the Week. So big congrats to him. He's provided a lot of highlight plays, and it's come to an NJAC Player of the Week. So congratulations, Jalen.
I mean, yeah, just the energy that Jalen Jamison brings to the floor. It's about time he got some recognition. I mean, we've been calling his name all season as somebody who will always excite the crowd with those no-look passes, with those athletic finishes around the rim. Only at 5'10", dude has a lot of heart in him.
Absolutely. And unfortunately, they did go on to lose on February 9th, which was this past Wednesday. Nate Lyles led the way with 12 points, 7 rebounds. Latrell West had only 6 points, and Pat Strazala also had only 4. But there were several players coming off the bench. Terrence Durham had 8 points for his own. Danny Boscarino, who we see in small spurts, he came off the bench and had 5 points for himself as well. So the Cougars did lose that one 72-49, but season's not over. The season's not over.
It really helps that every team in the NJAC makes the playoffs, and Kean really needs to secure one of those top seeds, especially on the men's side, because this team has not lost much when we're on the call, or at least when I'm on the call now. They're very much a home team. They build off the energy from Harwood Arena, so they got to get at least a few of those games in there, and it'll really come down to these final 2 games of the season.
For sure. I'm excited to see what happens throughout the rest of the season, and we'll preview a little bit of that moving forward at the end of the episode. On the women's basketball side, the women went 2-0 this week after 2 incredibly close games. Jish, you were on the call for the TCNJ game. I want to hear a little bit about your perspective about what happened. They did go on to win that game 58-49.
I mean, so yeah, that was my first game on the call with our latest broadcaster, John DeFreitas. Shout out, John. again, that was one of the games where they struggled to get off the ground a little bit earlier. You know, how this team, they don't always start with their strongest shooting performances. They'll be the first people to admit that too, but they really turned it around in that second half, only scoring 5 in that first quarter, but in the third quarter they went off 21 points. Just a great all-around effort. Brittany Graf had herself another great game, and this stretch of games that she's been having has just been unreal. Definitely stepping up big time down the stretch of the season. And that's really my biggest takeaway. It's been great, tough sledding from her.
Absolutely. You mentioned Brittany Graf. Kayla Anderson also gave 15 points and 6 rebounds. Shannon McCoy, of course, 14 points of her own. The team did struggle from 3 a little bit, though. They only shot 1 for 15 in the entire game. But,
Right.
you know, there are going to be nights like that. And then there are going to be nights where they play against a Stockton team where they did win by 1 point. 53-52 was the final score in that one. Kean did go on to win. Brittany Graf, like you said, she's been playing absolutely amazing. 15 points. Shannon McCoy, 13, shooting 4 for 6 from the free throw line. Kayla Anderson doing all of her work from the free throw line, 5 points, 5 rebounds. But a player that did have herself an amazing game, Shadi Badir. She had 11 points and 11 rebounds. She had a double-double.
And it's about dang time. I mean, the depth at the center position for the Kean women's squad has been unreal this season. They've had just so much size, so much aggressiveness coming off that bench. And even some players who they don't use could go out and contribute for this team. I know Kirsten Clower doesn't get a lot of minutes, but when we have seen her play, she is also a force. So they have a lot of young talent at the center position, and the absence of Anaya Moore has not impacted this team. It's really the stuff of champions. And I don't want to speak too prematurely about that, but this team really has championship written all over them. They just know how to win. They're mentally tough, and they're hungrier than ever. I'm so excited to watch this team play down the stretch.
Yo, I'm excited. Jish, I don't think we have a drop in excitement. Like it's always up here with us, and I love watching any of these teams play or perform in their respective sport.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, to that center depth, Shadi Badir, Macy Seaman, Anaya Moore, when she's healthy, she is a beast on the floor. This team can just dominate you from all different facets of the court, whether they're winning by 1 point or blowing you out. This women's squad is a team not to be messed with.
This week, head coach Mandy King appeared on the Hoopsville Hotline podcast on Hoopsville with D3 Sports. You can find that full interview online on Twitter and at d3hoops.com. Here's head coach Mandy King talking a little bit about her team.
You're talking about Shannon McCoy, 16 and a half, well, really almost 17 points a game at 16.8. Shoots 32% from the floor. She's leader in rebounding at 7.8. She's second on the team in assists. She's second on the team in steals. There's a lot she certainly, shoots 85% from the free throw line on top of that. There's a lot of things she does well. Tell us a little bit about Shannon and how the team feeds off of her.
Shannon is a once-in-a-lifetime student athlete. She's a 4.0 student, and it's impossible to have a bad day around Shannon McCoy. She plays the game with so much joy. She loves her teammates. She's completely humble. And when she's making shots, we feel like we can't be beat. So it's like, we talk all the time about that character drives winning. And she is the best example of that I really have ever seen, in my career as a coach. And it's just an absolute pleasure to be her coach. And she's really competitive. She comes from a competitive family, and, she's this joyful kid, but she is so competitive. Like, she is going to find a way to win, and she's fearless. She's going to play with a lot of courage, and she's going to try to make everybody around her better. And, she really believes in herself and in her teammates, and it makes us a pretty powerful force.
Brittany Graf, second on the team, 12 and a half points, shoots pretty well, except for free throws. I'm sure you'd like to talk to a lot of players about their free throw shooting. And we got other players. I certainly want to mention Sarah Ioviero, Kayla Anderson, Macy Seaman and others. You play a lot of players too. You go deep on the bench. How important is that as you now get into the back end of this grind and head towards NJAC play, knowing that you're probably going to have to win the NJAC to punch a ticket to the NCAAs?
Oh, absolutely. I think like the first thing that you mentioned was Brittany Graff. And I wanted to go back to that because I don't think she gets enough credit. She really is the heart and soul of our team. And I think a lot of our players have gotten recognition, but she is a two-way player that just finds a way to win. And the only flaw are the free throws, like as you mentioned, but we're just not going to talk about that.
Okay.
But you should, it's like anytime there's a 50-50 ball, anytime there needs to, we need to score off our defense, she's going to make a play, and she does a really good job in pick and roll situations, and she raises the level of everyone around her. So I'm so happy that you talked about her because the statistics are there, but it's everything else that a stat sheet doesn't show that makes her so special. So thank you for mentioning her.
Absolutely.
The heart that she plays with is something that's pretty admirable.
So like we said, you can find that full interview on Twitter, or you can look it up at teamonesports.com/hoopsville. It's a great podcast, and you don't want to miss out on what else they're doing. A little bit more of women's sports, women's swimming. They also went 1-1 in this past week. They were able to defeat over Division II College of Staten Island. Brianna Shaw, she won 2 events, and it was relatively close in terms of points, 83-64. I know that's a 19-point difference, but in swimming that there's not too much room for error.
Yeah, you're right about that. And as this season comes to a close, it's really been another season of growth for this revived swimming squad. And it's going to be a powerhouse sooner or later. It's just a well-coached team. They've got a lot of young talent. Every year they get younger and even more talented and even more deep. And I'm excited for the future of this program as this season comes to a close.
Absolutely. That second meet was against TCNJ. So this past Saturday, there was a lot of TCNJ action going on at Kean. They did lose that one, 146 points to 80 points. But afterwards, head coach Chris Swenson said it's hard to believe that the regular season wrapped up. The season went by so fast, Jish. I feel like just yesterday we were calling our first meet, and now their regular season is over and they're headed off to Metz.
Hope, and we're wishing them the best of luck at Metz as well. Now moving into some kind of lighter news, I would say. I wouldn't say lighter, but we just want to give a huge shout out to the women's field hockey team. 20 members from the women's field hockey team making the D3 all academic team. So hats off to the Cougars of the field hockey team who show greatness on and off the field. A real testament to their coach, Leslie LaFrance, keeping that team disciplined, and a shout out to them individually as well. But moving on into our next sport, we had a rough week for men's volleyball. 2 sweeps to traditional NJAC opponents. Only one of them was an NJAC contest. They lost 3-0 to Ramapo and 3-0 to NJCU. And I was on the call for both those games. It was a little bit of a struggle offensively both times out. The leading killer in the Ramapo game was Duncan Belke, of course, but I believe he only had, let me take a look at this. No, never mind. It was Quincy Roy who actually led in kills for that game. But really what is the most jarring is the hitting percentages. They've been pretty off, 10% against Ramapo and only 16% against NJCU. NJCU was able to get their first win over Kean in 20 attempts. Kean had never lost to NJCU before last Thursday's matchup. So definitely a rough patch after starting off really strong. The Cougars are going to look to bounce back later as the season progresses.
Of course, it's still early. So they're just barely a month into their season. So, we'll see what happens.
not how you want to start. But on brighter news for them, Raheem Mullins, the talented freshman, won the NJAC Rookie of the Week award. And he has been one of the few bright offensive contributors, 7 kills against NJCU and 5 kills against Ramapo. So he has been involved playing that outside hitter role. Him and Roy, both the freshman tandem, give the Cougars some optimism to look forward to, not only for the rest of the season as they'll continue to develop, but throughout their Kean careers in the years to come.
Absolutely. I'm looking forward to it.
And moving on into baseball, I know it's going to be quote unquote previewed this episode, but the first 2 games have gone underway. Both of them W's for the Cougars. They played Widener University yesterday. That was a 6-5 win. Came down to the bottom of the 9th, 2 outs, bases loaded. They were down by 1, and 2 walk-off walks was enough to get the job done and to get Kean their first W of the season.
Hey, Coach Ioviero, great coach. So I have no doubt in those nip and tuck ball games, they're gonna come out more often than not on top.
A huge performance and a huge comeback there for Kean after giving up 5 runs in the first inning. And then today, February 11th, they played their second game of the season. Also a victory, although this one was not as tight. A 6-0 shutout of the Drew Rangers. Starting pitcher, freshman Jason Gilman, had himself quite the ball game. Pitched 7 innings, only allowed 5 hits, no walks, 9 strikeouts. And he was relieved by other fellow freshman Daniel Keenan, played 1.2 innings, only allowed a single hit, 2 strikeouts, no walks for him as well. He has a very interesting release of the ball. So 2 freshmen getting the job done. But I'd also like to point out the performance of a third freshman, shortstop Brett Hilsheimer, had himself quite the day, 3 for 5 from the plate, including 2 runs. So definitely a lot to look forward to this season. They were ranked 3rd in the preseason poll, and they're really showing exactly why, and then some.
Absolutely. Kean fans, look, you have the opportunity to watch this baseball team for a while because they don't play their first road game until March.
Got the whole month of February to watch nothing but Kean baseball.
Oh yeah, it'll be exciting.
Of course. What do you think it is? You think this is like the MLB? You think it's going to be boring like that? This is Kean baseball. Come on.
Moving on to esports. Esports did kick off their season this week. On Monday, they were able to defeat Stonehill College 2-1 in Super Smash Bros., but they did fall to Grand Valley State University 2-0 in Rainbow Six. On Tuesday, the Cougars were also fell to Farmingdale State College in Valorant, and they also forfeited a match in NBA 2K22 and also lost another match in Overwatch. They lost that one 3-2. On Wednesday, the Cougars also swept Hudson University 3-0 in Rocket League. And on Thursday, they earned a forfeit victory over Long Island University in Madden 22.
Hey, that Rocket League team, they won 3-0, you said?
Yes, sir.
They're coached by my former geology professor, Professor Sarnowski. Shout out to him.
Oh, nice. Now it's time for Cougar Quick Hits with baseball head coach Neil Ioviero. Our next guest is a 5-time NJAC champion, a 6-time NCAA Division III regional champ, a 4-time NCAA regional coach of the year. He is also the winningest coach in Kean University history athletics, and he is also a 2007 NCAA Division III national champion. I'm pleased to have on the pod with us Coach Neil Ioviero. How are you, Coach?
Good. Thanks for having me. Appreciate it, Dorian.
Of course. And so I'm going to jump right into it. The baseball season is coming up. 2019 was technically the last full season for the baseball program because in 2020, the season was cut short after 10 games. What was it like having to stop playing all of a sudden?
Well, I mean, we came off of 2019 with a pretty good year where we got to the regional final, one game from the super regional. We were very, very disappointed with that season, how it ended. And so we were really looking forward to getting started in 2020. And to be honest, our team, we thought was a lot better. The next year we got some really good players in. We had some really good players return. And so our chemistry, our camaraderie, the amount of time we spent together was, between the workouts and the study halls and, the season, the preseason, fall season, we just had a really big bond with that team. And we got off to a really good start. I believe we were 8-2, and, we were really starting to roll. We started really swinging the bat. We started to score some runs. And we felt really good about that team. And so it just came to an abrupt halt when we were out pretty much in Pennsylvania playing against Cabrini. If you want more details about how that, went about, I can easily give it to you. But it came, pretty abrupt halt.
It definitely did. And like you said, the team was off to a great start, 8-2 on the season. But you did come back and play in 2021. All Kean sports returned for a shortened season. The team finished 17-15, and you were in the NJAC tournament. Walk me through what it was like finally being able to come back and playing as a team again.
I mean, to be honest, like, I'm somebody that I enjoy the process of leading up. To me, it's a climb. You're climbing or up a ladder or up a mountain, and you're always starting at the bottom, in September when the new team gets in, and everything you do is a baby step up the ladder or up the mountain. And you're obviously trying to get to the top each year. The best thing you can do as a coach is forget about what you did in the past and forget, act like it never happened, because the next year ahead of you is the only one that matters. And so, there were tons of teams that had to deal with what everybody else was dealing with. There's no doubt. But for our particular team, so much is predicated on the time we spent together and the relationships that we build and the trust and the camaraderie and the chemistry, that's the basis of what we do to get them to buy into what we're doing and believe in it and trust it. And so, having very limited time with the COVID in the fall, and then, limited time in the spring. And, that's what I think was more of an issue than anything, is just the time that we weren't together, from start to finish. And that takes its toll on you because, we're used to just having a certain, brotherhood of people that just, would lay in front of a bus for each other. And that was just hard to create based upon not being able to spend that much time together, and because of the situation we were in, or, basically in the whole world. It wasn't just us.
This year is essentially going to be a brand new team. It's 2022 now. So what can we expect for Kean baseball coming up in 2022?
I mean, I get asked this question a lot in different variances, and the answer is never going to change. Like, every year that we start, the goal is to get to the World Series and be one of the final 8 teams remaining. And then at that point, you're playing against the best of the best. And, you got to play great at that moment to continue on. And so that goal is never going to change. And, we have an awful lot of experience of understanding what it takes to get there, the type of, practice habits that you need, the type of effort that you need on a daily basis, the brain power that's needed for the players and coaches to understand what's expected and how to, be ready to do stuff at certain times in the course of the game, the preparation that it takes. And this year we've basically been able to create all the stuff that I just spoke about, where we spent a lot of time together. The kids are very, very close. The coaches are very close with them. They trust in us. We trust in them. We've had some really good practices so far. Just taking it from, last year, our field was getting redone, and, we did have snow on the ground at times. We hardly got out of the gym. So far we've been outside almost every day. And so, like, the amount of practice that we've had outside and being able to create all these situations in the space that's needed, we feel like we're in a good spot, and we still got a week left. So we're going to have another good week, and then be ready for next Friday. But this is a good group. I mean, there's a lot of pieces to the puzzle. I think we could win a lot of different ways. Last year we were very limited. I'll never make an excuse. Like, I want the blame when things don't go well, because obviously the coach is going to get the credit. So you got to be willing to take the blame. But last year it was unreal how, there were weeks where we might have had 4 kids injured, 6 kids on the COVID list, or 3 kids injured, 11 kids on and we were playing every game -6, 8, 10, 12, 14. We played the last round of the playoffs without our top pitchers being able to pitch because they were hurt. Didn't even have our top guys, in those games. And we battle. I mean, we're always going to battle, and we're always going to make it tough. And these aren't excuses. They're just reasons of, I said it all last year. We had the talent last year. We had a really good team, but there was a lot of things that just, came up through the course of the year. And there were a lot of kids that played out of position because kids were not there or hurt. And, you're asking them to do things maybe that they're not comfortable or capable of doing at that time. So right now we just feel like we got a very, very good mix of veterans, a good mix of new players that are a little bit older that transferred in, and also some really, really good freshmen. So we feel like we could win a lot of different ways. We could win a low scoring game. We could win a high scoring game. We could defend like our life depends on it. We got a tremendous speed with certain lineups that we could put out there. So we're going to have a lot of variations to us where we can win a lot of different ways.
Absolutely. My final question is, you open next Friday, February 11th, against Drew University, and you are home throughout the month of February. How important is it for you to have home fans back in the stands to cheer on the baseball team?
I mean, it doesn't matter if it's home or away. We just would love to see fans for an atmosphere. It makes the game, even when you're getting booed and people are screaming against you, it's still a good atmosphere to play in. But yes, to have our people back and comfortably back and be able to bring whoever they want to bring and have the crowd, because we get some pretty good crowds through the course of the season, and get our alumni back and kids that have played before and their families. I mean, I love seeing ex-players when they come with their, families, and, now they have kids. It's just a good atmosphere, especially on a weekend doubleheader day when, we're there all day. So that's going to be great. We're looking forward to that. And it should be a pretty good one right now. We feel good about this group.
What a great interview with Coach there. And now we are ready for our next segment, Beyond the Competition, and maybe into the spotlight on the center stage with Nate Lyles, basketball and theater extraordinaire.
Our next guest is known by Kean as a basketball player, but he is also an actor. I'm pleased to introduce Nate Lyles. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing well. So we're just going to jump right into the questions, Nate. And, what we all want to know is, how did you decide that acting was something that you wanted to pursue?
So I was in middle school, and there was this drama class that I was excited to take, but I had to wait till like 7th grade to take it. I finally got to that class, finally got to that age, and I'm taking the class, and I'm just having a ball. We're writing little skits in little groups. And then at the end of the class, at the end of the semester, we had to perform them. And everybody wanted me to be in their little skit. I was like, yeah, of course. And at the end of the semester, we're performing in front of our entire grade and the faculty and everything. And I'm just having the entire audience rolling. I'm like, yeah, this is what I want to do. I want to bring joy to people, because in today's day, people lack that, and they're dealing with a whole lot of different things, a whole lot of stressors. And if I can bring joy to them for at least a second, I feel like I did my job.
Absolutely. You are an entertainer both on the basketball court and as an actor. You always put up some highlight dunks. We're always super excited whenever the ball gets in your hands.
I gotta make it exciting. You feel me?
Of course. So in that sense, which one came to you first, performing on stage or sports?
Definitely sports. growing up on sports. You know what? I think I started dancing before sports. Because I was too young to play any organized sports. I mean, my dad played basketball in college. My mom played tennis in high school. So I was always around it. But before organized sports, I think I started dancing. So therefore, performance came with that.
So for you personally, you've had a lot of different roles. You mentioned doing little plays. You've done theater, television, and film. And you've been a supporting actor and a lead in a lot of different roles, including being in commercials. So what experience so far has been one of your favorites?
Definitely being the lead of my own commercial, because that was the biggest role I've had so far. So I had to wake up early and drive into Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. It's like 2 hours from here, 2.5 hours from here with my dad early in the morning on a day that I have class later. We are in the booth doing the voiceover in the mornings after you get there. And then later we do the filming during the day. And they were able to use a civilian's home. He was nice enough to let them use their home. I was like, okay, cool. So I'm in this random person's home, in this random neighborhood. And like, yeah, I just walk up the block and proceed to what they had me do. And after seeing the final production, I was like, oh man, this is real cool. And then now I'm getting people like, oh, I saw you on TV. Oh, is this you? And I'm like, oh, it's not. It's being broadcasted very wide. I didn't think it was going to be broadcast that wide. Yeah, it was with the state of Pennsylvania, like they're the ones who ran it. But I thought it would just be in Pennsylvania. But now I got people in South Jersey hitting me up. I got people in like New York hitting me up saying, oh, I've seen you in this. I'm like, oh, that's pretty cool.
I was actually going to ask, how is that when people are saying, oh, I saw you on TV, or I saw you in this? Like, what is that like for you?
That is definitely heartwarming because they take the time to actually hit me up and be like, oh yeah, I saw you. But that just drives me to further my career. Like, this is only the beginning.
Mm-hmm. So you mentioned a little piece in there about, you drove 2.5 hours and you had class later in the day. So for you personally, you're an athlete, you're a student, and you're an actor. How do you find time throughout the day to balance kind of everything that you're doing?
And it started in high school. People told me I couldn't do it all.
Mm.
I can't do basketball, can't do theater, and maintain my grades. I'm gonna have to pick one. So that's what drove me to be able to do all of them. I'm like, how are you gonna tell me I can't do this? I'm gonna show you that I can do this because those are my two passions. Those are two things that I really love and I really want to do. So I'm gonna make sure I'm gonna do them. And my grades, I've always took care of business in the classroom. So for me, it was just being able to maintain that. If I can't maintain it, then I'm gonna have to fix it. But I was always able to maintain it.
So speaking a little bit more upon, seeing you on TV, you had a role in a particular television show. So this is how I actually found it out. My friend is actually a huge fan of the show, and so he was watching and he sent me a Snapchat, and I was like, wait, I've seen the person in the background before. And then I was like, it's probably someone that looks kind of like him. And then I went on Instagram and I saw on your Instagram story, people started posting you, and I was like, oh, that's Nate. And so how big was it for you to have a role in Power? It's such a big TV show.
So I was on that show twice. The first season, it was like right before COVID. I had never watched the show before. Never. I mean, I've heard about it. It's been talked about in the community. Mm-hmm. But I was like, I didn't really have an interest in watching it. and I was on it, and I didn't really know anybody, but I saw the actor who played Bobby Brown in the New Edition series.
Mm-hmm.
That was the first big name guy I seen. First of all, he had no drip, but he had no drip. But that's besides the point. But that was just cool being in this big production, working with these big directors. I mean, I've been on a couple of TV shows before, but working with them, but I wasn't as involved.
Mm-hmm.
So this is really cool to me. And then the second time, I get to see everybody. I get to see Mary J. Blige. I get to see Michael, who plays Tariq, the main character. I get to see all the actresses that are big time actresses. Like, I was like, whoa, this is so cool. It was cold though. It was outside and it was cold. And I don't like working in the cold.
Mm-hmm.
But I think being in that environment definitely overran the cold, I would say. I also did get to see an alumni from Kean there on set.
Mm-hmm.
She was working the set. Her name is Beba.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I know Beba.
Yeah. So seeing her on set was cool too. And I think she had just graduated at the time, so she's doing big things as well.
Oh, that's cool. That's cool. So whenever you get into a certain role, you obviously have to get into. It's just like a basketball game. You got to get in. You got to prepare beforehand. So what is your preparation like when you're preparing to play a certain character, and how has sports kind of helped you in that sense?
So I would say for my preparation, I get to know the lines, or at least the gist of what the lines are saying.
Mm-hmm.
But I get to know them well enough so I can do that. So people tend to remember things word for word, whether it's an actor remembering lines or remembering things for a test and line for line. But I like to remember the gist of it so I know what I'm saying. So just in case I do happen to forget the line when I'm in the moment, I can still ad-lib and still get my point across. And how sports helped with that is being able to work on the fly. Anything can happen. I'm in basketball, and I get hit with a screen and I need my teammate to help me out. That's an ad-lib. That's not playing. I'm supposed to stay with my man.
Mm-hmm.
But being able to bump off obstacles and be able to keep going with something that wasn't due to the plan is definitely a trait that's helped me personally, and it has helped me in acting as well.
So for you, we have to do a tiers list. So who would you say are your top 5 actors or actresses?
So I'm going Will Smith. That's definitely my number one.
Me too.
Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. I believe I have that type of personality as well.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Denzel. A lot of people say Denzel is their number one, and phenomenal. So I just relate more to Will.
Mm-hmm.
So, but Denzel is definitely number 2. Angela Bassett.
Good one. Oof. Or great one, I should say.
Oh man. Who? Who else? That's 3. Robin Williams is his comedy, his wit. Mm-hmm. That's the thing that I think can drive a character. It can drive an actor. His skill level is his wit, especially when it comes to comedy. Mm-hmm. So that's something I'm constantly looking at to improve. And for 5th, Viola Davis.
Great choices.
Especially in How to Get Away with Murder.
Mm-hmm.
She's so versatile as well.
Hey, I think that's a great tiers list, especially like I'm a Will Smith guy too, so he's my number one. But you mentioned Robin Williams on that list, Denzel. So who would you say has been an inspiration or kind of influenced your acting style?
Well,
Will?
well, it's the physical comedy, the
Mhm.
wittiness, the he's definitely a comedic actor, but he's brought some versatility as well. And so from an early age, I was like, yeah, this is who I want to model my style after.
Mm-hmm. Funny enough, like he has a bunch of great movies out, obviously, but I think my favorite Will Smith movie is, other than some of the classics, has probably got to be Hitch, just because I think it combined a lot of what he does, especially like that early 2000s kind of Will Smith.
Yeah, most definitely. And that's not something he regularly does.
Mm-hmm.
He became that lover it was a big drama movie and something that is not part of his niche. So him being able to put that into his bag is something that I think is phenomenal.
Yo. So your senior day is coming up. You know, what are you going to remember about your time at Kean?
My time at Kean, it's the support from the community, from the Kean community, the students, the faculty, the trainers, the coaches, the amount that they bought into me being there personally.
Mm-hmm.
The love that I received from them is something I'll definitely remember.
So personally for you, what's next? Like what do you plan to do after you graduate?
So the goal is to move out to LA,
Mm-hmm.
to get situated out there and hopefully get more opportunities and being able to take those opportunities and run with it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm throwing myself into a big pond. I'm gonna be a little fish. I'm competing with a lot of different people who have a lot of skills, a lot of talent, a lot of uniqueness. But I believe in myself, because just doing what I do, going into that career path, you have to believe in yourself. So I believe that I'll come out on top, and that will drive me. Hopefully, LA would be that asset to help me get there.
Absolutely. We'll be able to say we knew you win, right?
Most definitely. Most definitely.
Now it's time to preview the week ahead. We're going to start off with a little basketball. Both men and women will be on the road playing Rutgers Camden tomorrow, February 12th. They'll be playing at 1 o'clock. The women will be playing at 1 o'clock, and the men will be playing at 3 o'clock. And later in the week, they will be playing their final regular season home games of the season. That will also be senior day, so look out for that. They are playing those games against William Patterson at home in Harwood Arena on February 16th. They're going to be amazing. You don't want to miss out.
And on to volleyball. Tomorrow, the 12th of February, we have a tri-match where we play SUNY Potsdam and the number 11 CVC rival, Juniata College. It's going to be an interesting matchup. Both of those games, Kean really needs to bounce back after two less than stellar performances against Rampone and JCU. And then on Tuesday, they will be traveling all the way to Madison, New Jersey. Not that far. I say that for dramatic effect, to play Drew University on their home floor. That'll be Tuesday, the February 15th at 7 p.m. You can tune into that one. And for baseball, tomorrow, February 12th on Saturday, a very busy day for Kean sports tomorrow. The baseball team will be staying at Jim Hines Field to take on Alvernia University, looking to keep this early perfect season alive. And that'll be all we see from them this week until they play the college at Old Westerbury next Friday. We don't have to worry about that yet.
I had a great episode, Jish, but don't think I forgot Super Bowl picks. Let's hear it.
I actually forgot. You know, man, I'm a sucker for storylines. I know the Rams are supposed to win this game. They've got the firepower. They've got the mismatches, but This Bengals team is a team of destiny, Dorian. I'm saying that already. Joe Burrow is the coolest quarterback under pressure. You can send Von Miller. You can send Aaron Donald. That does not stop Joe. So I'm taking the Bengals by a score. It's going to be a 3-point game. It's going to be, of course, McPherson game-winning field goal. So give me the Bengals by a score of, let's go 32-29. It's going to be one of those weird ones.
Wow. Okay. I'm with you on the Bengals. I do think it'll be a 3-point game. Joe Shiesty, like you said, he is the new team. But I think I'm gonna go 27-24 Bengals.
Okay, we're doing a repeat of that championship. All right, I like it.
Yep.
But obviously, the Rams could take it. It would be an equally as fulfilling storyline to me with Matt Stafford getting his first ring, but whatever. That by the time this comes out, everything we're saying is going to be obsolete.
We'll see what happens on Sunday. I had a great episode with you, Jish. As always, you guys can listen to us on YouTube at Kean Athletics or look us up on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Just look up Cougar Culture Podcast and we'll be right there.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me on, Dorian.
Of course. I'll see you next time.